it's coming up. This is Diamanda Galas. Her brother, Philip Dimitri Galas, was a performance artist in San Diego. I happen to know him because one of the fellows that was in his troupe was a friend of mine. They used to sit at the cafe where I worked and work on their stuff, and I got to meet her as well. And then he got AIDS, and he got sick, and he subsequently died. And she's dedicated the rest of her performance art career to talking about and singing about AIDS. And this particular piece is the Plague Mass, and it's all, the entire script is from Leviticus, and it's all about, you know, the plague, and you are unclean, and it's all the words from Leviticus, but directed towards AIDS. And it's very interesting that she's turned the whole Christian thing back on them. It's quite fascinating. And the back of it says, give me sodomy or give me death. So she's one of my personal heroes.
And about yourself?
About myself,
When did you come out?
that's happening in 1 second.
Oh, okay.
She's not out yet. She's just about to come out in just a minute.
In the technical age. Can we go on to trees?
It'll happen in 3 seconds.
Okay.
What cafe did you work in?
I worked at Gelato Vero.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I worked there for 10 long years.
Well, some of us found comfort in the fact that
Yeah.
you were always there.
So girls, if you want to not have this in your eyes, I would suggest to move at the moment. And if y'all want to look at this, you can.
Can I sit in your seat?
You can sit in my seat. And then I'm just going to place it. I found this plethora of photographs, so I decided to put this together in here as the anatomy of an activist.
All right then.
Is that when you were born?
Technical
No, I was born in 1960. I also have this on a timeline if anybody wants to look at that.
Is there music?
Hum
You can
along.
hum.
My first act against homophobia, I was in the 3rd grade with Greg Louganis, and a bully was picking on him. And so I punched the bully in the stomach, and Greg said thank you and ran off.
Good for you.
There you go.
I came out May 5th, 1978. My friend said, "Are you gay?" I said, "What's that?" We went to a party, and I was. June 1978 was my first gay pride march. We marched from downtown to the park. It was quite
San Diego?
It was quite moving, yes, in San Diego. The Briggs Initiative was that year. It was the teachers. There was supposed to be an initiative that if you were gay, you were not allowed to teach. That was also the year that Harvey Milk was shot. In 1984, we began to notice AIDS. My brother contracted AIDS in 1985. That was also the year that Rock Hudson died. In 1986, my friend Philip died from AIDS. In 1987, my brother died of AIDS. That October, we went to Washington, D.C. for the first March on Washington.
What about 79?
Just a second.
There was a march in 1979
Yeah.
in Washington.
Sorry, I was young.
She was in high school.
All right.
We'll get into that later.
All right, just wanted you
Sorry.
to know.
That's the first march I knew about.
Okay.
This is my brother's panel piece. And the fellow that's over here bizarrely looks like my brother, and I didn't notice that until today, so
Wow.
it's odd that he's there. And that's practice wife number 1 right there.
Third time's a charm.
The March on Washington protest happened the following Monday. I was arrested on the steps of the Supreme Court 6 times that day. It was my first civil disobedience arrests. October 11th is now forever celebrated as National Coming Out Day. Upon my return to San Diego in 1987, I was one of the founding members of ACT UP San Diego chapter. In 1988, we did a march on City Hall. We took styrofoam crosses to City Hall. We put our names of people we knew to City Hall, and we covered the front steps of City Hall. Later that month, we shut down a city council meeting because Maureen O'Connor decided to use the surplus city funds that we had asked her to use to help AIDS patients. She decided to make America's Cup banners instead.
Over $10,000.
No, $20,000.
$20,000
Yeah.
worth of banners.
And was that in 1988 as well?
That was in 1988. We set up a food bank in the old center's storage closet, the center over by the brass rail. We would take grocery lists and go to the shopping centers, and we would say, can you buy a few extra items? And we were all volunteers, and we would take these items to whoever needed them. They would call and say, I need some, whatever, and we would just take them the food. I did have big hair, and I did dress like this in the 80s. I hosted a Women in the AIDS Crisis event at the Oregon Pavilion for World's AIDS Week in May of 1988. That year, the parade committee just left with all the money for the for the parade.
Oh, yeah.
It was 2 individuals, it wasn't the whole committee. I was
On the committee.
I was on the
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah, they
Where'd
just
they go?
they just left the money. So we were asked, Act of San Diego was asked to put on Parade Fest 1988. Kenny, Andrea, and I were asked to be entertainment co-chairs. That's Kenny there, that's Kenny's mother, and that's me in a dress. Because of all my activism up to this point, I was voted Ms. Gay Pride in 1988.
You didn't take out your armpit hair in that.
I didn't take out my arm.
It was the 80s.
It was the 80s. Coming out day, October 11th, 1988, we went to Horton Plaza. Myself, Andrea, and Ellie Rapp. We got thrown off private property because we weren't allowed to protest there. We went up to the
And
center
they're still doing that.
and we did our coming out of the closet thing, and I got in the newspaper. This is Karen Marshall. She was the director of the center at the time. We also did a march on Sacramento. Several of our lesbian friends went with us. This is Kenny, and this is Albert Bell right here, my personal mentor. Love this man.
Unicycle man.
We did a die-in demonstration on the state capitol steps on Sunday, so that all the legislators the next day, they would have to walk across all of this before they could go into the building. So what we would do is we would lay down and do chalk outlines around these bodies here. And then you would write the name of whoever inside that. We weren't satisfied with that, so we started writing people's names on every other surface. Pretty soon, every surface that you could see from the front doors out to the sidewalk were covered with names. Protest at the CDC. 2 days after our shirts came in, some of us flew to Atlanta. We had a simultaneous protest at the CDC, at the FDA, and at the World Health Organization in New York City. 20 of us went to Atlanta. 6 people were our support people, and 14 of us handcuffed ourselves to the front door of the CDC. We had made arrangements with the police, the media, and so we were there all handcuffed and we were doing our thing. And right before the police did the thing where, you know, where we'd be arrested and unhandcuffed us, this black van pulled up, and the FBI got out. And came over and asked us some questions and wanted our ID, and then they scanned our ID with this little hand scan thing, which in 1989 was freaky weird. And then they left, and when they pulled up, everything went silent. The media was silent, the police were silent, we were silent. It was the oddest thing ever. So, yeah, it was very strange. But within a month, the standards for releasing drugs were reduced under the Acts of Compassion ruling. So we got our job done.
Great. All right.
In the early 90s, everybody started dying. I went to a funeral a week for a year. I burned out and went home. In 1991, I got married to practice wife number 2. In a very public wedding on TV. I was in the papers. I was, trying to be real public. In 1993, my boyfriend's brother died. In 1993, I had my very own gay bashing happen. Because I defended myself, the cops decided it was mutual combat. The guy called me a dyke and punched me in the face. Matt Withersby, our LGBT liaison, did nothing about it. I went to the old center and had my pictures taken. That's where these pictures were taken. A month later, Brandon Tina was murdered in Nebraska. In the mid-90s, I divorced Susan. And then, in 1994, I had a public commitment ceremony in the park with Bonnie. We went to our first dyke march and less than 100 women participated, and it was sponsored by the Lesbian Avengers. Pride 1995, Reverend Phelps showed up, and I was protesting the protesters. And I got in the paper again. We were yelling at them so much that Reverend Phelps got an instant nosebleed and had they all to leave.
Exploding.
Just, I think he just couldn't take
It's
it.
the hand of
Wow, that's a good
somebody
clue.
somewhere.
I was trading scripture with him, and I just think he couldn't take it. I don't know. In 1996, we went to the AIDS Memorial Quilt in Washington, D.C. This is the aerial view. This is the last time they laid the whole thing out. It stretched from the Washington Monument to the Capitol building. Go to the next slide. There we go. This is our own Brad Truax, Dr. Truax. That's his panel piece. No, go back one. Maybe not. Anyway, and here's my friend Philip's panel, and it's right next to Rock Hudson.
Okay.
That's my friend, Rock Hudson, my friend Philip. Here's my brother's panel I made for him. Here's my mom. And his lover, Clay's panel. I made this in a week, so it's basically paint and canvas. This one I had a lot of time, so I, embroidered a sailboat and, spent a lot of time on that one. In the late 90s, 1998, Matthew Shepard was murdered. I was taking a speech class at Grossmont College, and the kids were talking about that faggot and blah, 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 and I just couldn't take it, and so I gave a hate speech presentation and shut all the frat boys up, and it made me really quite happy. In 1999, the San Diego AIDS Foundation and the food bank closed due to financial mismanagement, and it broke my heart. The thing that we had started, volunteers for free in the back of a storage closet, they had totally mismanaged, and then it was closed. And in 1999 was when the grenade was thrown into the smoke bomb was thrown into the Pride. Yeah, that was horrible.
I was there.
In the new century, Prop 22 was passed, civil unions were made legal, and I married my beautiful wife. In 2001, we filed a domestic partnership. I started to reemerge into the community with Dyke March, and my friend Mandy Schultz was found dead in a car crash. In 2002, I joined with Vaginas, the vibrant, activist girls invoking national attention. And we put on Vagina Fest. It was a first health fair here. We did it out in front of Bienestar. We gave health screenings. We did pap smears. We did breast exam referrals. We had entertainment. We had a lot of fun. We did Dyke March and had a really good time. And I began working with the committee for the Women's Resource Center at the center. I worked with the committee to help with the 4th annual Day of Remembrance, and at the end of the evening they gave me this certificate, and I was completely stunned. I was like, what are you giving me a certificate for? I mean, I'd been doing stuff and not expecting any sort of anything, and they gave me a certificate and it made me cry. So. In 2003, we put on Vagina Fest 2 out front, another great event, and we reached even more women that year. It was wonderful. September 2003, we did Dark March downtown. And the WRC opens at the community center. And our last fabulous happy ending to this fabulous story of my activist life is Bonnie and I went up to San Francisco and we got married in the rotunda, and that is a legal document that says we are married.